just got to play away from that really big miss, obviously, and you're definitely some nerves in that regard, and you're thinking what 40-something, 50 feet or whatever it was, and all you're trying to do is two putt it and make it that hole very well. And you're kind of playing to give yourself a chance at making 4 there and make no worse than 5. And in the end, I made 5 pretty hard, but two putt from 70 odd feet and make that little 4. It's without thinking about it too much. Teeing it down basically makes you sort of a lot steeper and swing a lot left. Ball generally comes out a lot lower, and I feel like kind of the lower it is, the more control you have over it. I think Ollie Wilson does it off the deck a lot, so I'm not quite that confident with driver off the deck. So for me, it's just tee it down and just make sure it goes left to right, and kind of aim down the left edge. And if it goes straight, you're probably okay. If it fades a little bit too much, you're probably okay, and it kind of lessens everything.
Sounds like a plan. Let's see it.
So obviously that's pretty low for a driver. I'm aiming at the 250 there. And so I'll be, I want it to come down on the 250, so I'll be aiming slightly left of it there and just, make sure it goes a little left to right is the main thing.
Beautifully
I'd say that was pretty much what I'd asked for on that.
Beautifully done.
Ryan, it's been a couple of weeks since that prestigious win at the Dunhill Links. Many congratulations with that. Has that sunk in now?
Probably not yet. It still kind of feels a little bit surreal. I mean, obviously, I know what happened, and it's been a whirlwind last week and a bit. To be honest, for me, my wife was a little bit sick after it happened, and I ended up doing a fair bit of babysitting last week and looking after the little ones. So. On top of all the media, and I had hundreds and hundreds of messages, which is fantastic, and tried to clear all of that. So last week kind of was a bit of a blur for me, and I don't know if I've really had a chance to sit down and properly let it sink in. But still just going back and thinking about it's pretty awesome.
Was that the perfect way to sort of get over the disappointment of missing out on the President's Cup team?
Yeah, if I'm honest, that wasn't really a motivation for the week. Obviously I would have loved to have been in that team, but I can understand why Trevor didn't pick me in that regard. I thought I could have helped the team out, but it was his choice in the end, and I completely respect his decision. But for me that week, we'd had a bit of a messy 3 weeks with my parents up. Had a knee injury, lost my golf clubs going to France, and Mum and Dad had come up for hopefully 4 tournaments and ended up watching 3 rounds of golf in the first 3 weeks. So I was just keen to give them some weekend golf and something to go home with, and don't think I could have done any better than that. A family photo with the trophy on the Swilcan Bridge was about as good as it gets.
You mentioned a couple of things there. It's been a whirlwind year for yourself. Obviously, big wins, the injury, potentially making that President's Cup team. You're in great position now, heading into the final few events as well. What's going to be the key thing for you over the next couple of months?
Probably just not change anything. I know that sounds simple and kind of almost obvious to an extent, but not let any of that stuff get to my head. I've done a really good job this year of just trying to beat a golf course every week. Not worry about any of the external stuff, and just go out and try to do the same thing every week. Try to do the same little drills, have a kind of carefree attitude out on the golf course. And I said just try to beat the golf course. And if I can keep doing that for the rest of the year, hopefully I can challenge Rory and Fitz for that title at the end of the year, but I've got to do something pretty special to beat those guys. Obviously, both of them have had fantastic years and top 10 players in the world for a reason.
Talking of beating golf courses, we're here in Valderrama, one of the toughest spots on tour. Why do you think this place is so difficult?
Have we got enough time to list it? It's obviously the biggest thing is it's narrow. It's cork trees everywhere. I think it's probably softened in the last few years. I think they've had a little bit of a clear out of some of the trees, so it feels a little less claustrophobic than it was when I first played here, I think in 2016. But you've got small greens, you've got fast greens, we've got some rough this year around the green, so that makes the short game side of it really hard. It tests every part of your game. You don't have to be long, but you've got to be extremely accurate. You've got to be extremely patient. You've got to have a little bit of luck this week as well, because you're just going to get some of those shots where you think you've hit really good ones and they don't end up being in very good places. And it's a golf course that it's really fun to come to. I play one like this a couple of times a year, but if you had to play a golf course like this, the psychiatrist bills would be pretty high for the tour, I think.
Talking of patience, one guy who did show patience last year was Matt Fitzpatrick, our defending champion here. Just, if you can, give us a sense of what his putting is like, especially on a place round here, and what makes him such a premium putter.
I mean, obviously, firstly, he must read greens phenomenally well. I mean, I've been lucky enough to play with Fitz a few times since I've been on tour, and he's always had that. You don't say putting's a weapon very often, but his putting is a weapon. He's got a fantastic stroke, but just to read the speed and the line so well, and to be able to do it under pressure like he does is pretty impressive. And that's really important around here. You're going to have to make lots of 6 footer plus for par. It's just one of those golf courses, and he seems to be exceptionally good at that.
And just finally, how much of a mental game is it around here this week? Because it can beat you up at times. You can hit a fantastic tee shot, but you'll end up behind a tree. You have to play out, and you're struggling for your par and your bogey from there. Yeah,
I think every week's a mental game, but this one's definitely more than normal. As I said, you need a little bit of luck around here to win, and a lot of patience. It's just, you've got to take the good with the bad. You're going to hit some bad tee shots that are going to get a nice little gap in the trees, and you're going to have a shot, and you're going to hit some great tee shots that get a bad bounce, and you end up with no shot behind a tree. And it's going to be the person that deals with that the best this week is going to be up near the top.
Wish you well.
Cheers, team.